Yeah.
But now the hat is off, so now we're down to serious business.
Do we want to figure out a proper intro this time?
I feel like we could figure out a proper intro, but
or do we want to just keep doing the intros just do we want to just fade it in on us trying to figure out the intro?
I feel like that's better, especially since this one's talking about writing.
Yeah.
Are we really going to script an intro for this?
I think you should take these back.
Okay, I'll take
because I feel empty without my hat.
All right.
I really do. I do like the concept of an intro of just us fading in talking about starting this podcast every time.
I feel like it's better too.
And it does really feel like a whole minute for us.
Yeah, and it kind of gets us into it.
Yeah, and every minute counts.
When I was really into thinking about this podcast, I was like, oh, what if we did this thing where it was just me going all right, we're recording, and then Edward goes, oh, we're recording? Cool. And then we just go. And then it just kind of cuts to us talking. Do
you want to try that right now?
Okay, go. Oh, wait, no, I have to say, I have to go all right, we're recording.
We're recording. Okay. Is that what you wanted? I don't know why I went in a world where man fights machine.
Yeah, I feel like
I don't know why I went movie trailer.
Yeah, you don't need to go movie trailer.
Do you want me to go more exasperated?
Just go Edward style, like how you usually talk. I don't know. Just talk how you regularly talk. If I go, all right, we're recording.
Okay, we're recording. Let's go.
Perfect. See,
See? Okay.
And then I could just put that as, the first bit of all the...
And then it can fade into us talking about how we're going to intro it anyway.
See, so starting in episode 3,
yeah,
that'll be the intro.
Yeah.
But right now, that's not the intro, because that was the intro.
Yeah.
And last episode, we just didn't have an intro.
Yeah.
Keeps the charm,
yeah.
You know?
Anyway, welcome to episode 2 of the podcast.
Yeah, and I like that we started the podcast that way, because it's really talking about how unscripted the podcast is.
Really just how ramshackle and slapdash.
Because we're not doing any writing.
And I really promise that after this episode, we're going to stop doing podcasts about our podcast.
But you have to set it all up.
Yeah,
you
have to get them acclimated.
Exactly.
Get their little toesies dipped in the deep end.
The first couple of podcasts have to provide some background for the rest of the podcast.
It's like how you start every conversation by talking about your life story for 10 minutes.
Exactly. You gotta give everyone the lore.
Yeah, you gotta get them to understand who you are at your core.
Perfect.
And then you can start talking about what the weather's like.
That's what I'm saying. Because how else are you supposed to know that I hate warm weather?
Exactly.
If you don't know about my trauma with the sun.
Exactly. Yeah.
It killed my parents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It kills thousands every year.
I know. But, yeah, because we're not doing any writing for this. The most writing that we're doing is the notes.
Vague, jotted notes.
Right in front of us, which is stuff that I wrote last night.
I thought you were about to say last year.
Oh, God, I wish. No, I wrote this, at 9 p.m. last night.
Yeah.
When I was like, oh, Edward's coming over to my house tomorrow. I better have something written down.
I didn't expect anything written down. You've exceeded my expectations.
I know.
You're so much more prepared than me.
I put a lot of planning into this. It was really great. Yeah, I didn't really want to do any, scripting for this, because that feels weird.
And it feels like we're trying to do a podcast then, right?
Yeah. Because if we're trying too hard to actually do a podcast, then why are we doing a podcast?
The whole point of this has been, it's the least podcast, right? Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like an unpodcast.
Well, technically it is still a podcast, and we still are doing the things that podcast people do. Which is getting off
but
on
not
weird trails. Just we're not doing it very well. That family of podcasters that you mentioned.
Yeah, the McElroys.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like at
they
the end
have an entire podcast about etiquette. It's called Schmanners.
We should do a podcast about etiquette.
We should start every week before we record this. We should find a random podcast, listen to one episode, and then try to emulate what they did.
All right, we can do that. Every once in a while. But yeah, we aren't scripting these. Oh, I think I even wrote little jot notes underneath that one. I was lack of consistency between episodes.
We really want this to be as jarring as possible.
Yeah, you need to be thrust into every
If you listen
episode.
to more than 4 of these in a row, consult a physician.
Yeah, honestly.
You might have spinal trauma.
Oh my god. No, but especially because we want to do reading of our old one acts. It's it's not going to be the same thing as when we sit down and talk about a topic.
It's really more of a variety show kind of deal.
Yeah.
It's it's sort of a canvas for us to put out what we want into the world.
Because we talked about this on the train that one time with Jay and Clara.
Oh, I'm sure we did at some point.
And because I was going to Clara's house or something.
I vaguely remember that.
Yeah, and then we had this whole conversation going on about, like, oh, we could do this for the podcast, this for the podcast. And I have, like, so many notes written down.
Yeah.
They're all just, like, the ramblings of an insane person. But, like, I have all these, like, there was, like, something about a soap opera that we were gonna just sprinkle in there.
Like just randomly do episodes of an audio soap opera?
Yeah.
I love that.
I know, but we were like, it wouldn't even be, like, Clara and Edward doing the soap opera. We would
get random other people.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that way when we need an episode off, we get them to go write their own stuff.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and they can even write it, so maybe they'll be writing...
Really, this is just sort of an empty room that we yell into.
Basically. Like, it's gonna be so quiet. I'm debating finding copyright-free music to just put in the background.
Just elevator music?
Honestly, because otherwise it's just gonna be us
We should
listening.
just really let them stew in those silent voids, just... Wasn't that gut-wrenching?
Because it's just so, like, uncomfortable.
Yeah.
For the people listening. 'Cause
Yeah,
they're
really,
just like,
really, we just want to, like, this should just be a slightly uneasy thing to listen to.
Oh.
Like, it should just be almost comfortable.
Yeah, like, it's like you're listening to your friends talk, but then also, like, they're expecting you to talk, but we're not gonna listen to you talk.
Or, like, when your body, or, like, when you're falling asleep and your, like, torso's warm, but your feet are cold.
Right, of course.
Like, you're so close to being right where you need to be, but you're just never gonna get there.
Yeah. Sorry, I got really fixated on the fact I was just like, this is the extent of the script.
This is the extent of the script.
Yep.
Does that imply that everything we've just said was scripted? I think that makes us terrible script writers.
Well, like, we've both written scripts.
Yeah, and I think both of them were better than the other ones that were there.
And I feel like because it takes a bit to know how to script something, because you actually have to understand how people actually talk.
Yeah, you have to understand conversation.
Because I remember reading some of them, and it's just like, oh, where are you going, honey? I'm going away, Mom.
Or alternatively, you can do what I do. Abandon all that and lean into the fact that nobody talks like a person.
Yeah. Like, we're sitting here just...
We could talk about writing, because we do both have some degree of experience script writing.
Yeah. Well, I have script writing. We don't have to talk about it in order, either.
That works, yeah. Because,
So
like, I don't know, my philosophy with scripting, I love character studies, but I don't like writing them. So I always just use characters as sort of little puppets to tell the story I want to tell in a way where they stopped sounding like people and acting like people.
Well, you can't, because no one really acts like a person is supposed to act.
Yeah.
Because, like, what is even a person?
Well, it's like the one official script that I even wrote, like And Cut, like, those characters were basically puppets. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was sort of my philosophy writing it.
And I think you did a really good job of writing it and having all the stuff going in. Like, I wrote It's Snowing.
Also as a bit?
Also as a bit. Like, fully that started as, like, Finn gave us the idea, like, Clara and I the idea. And then we were like, oh my gosh, we should write that. And then I ended up writing it. But I did it so, like, as a bit that the fact that no one talked like an actual person was the funny part.
Yeah. It was really funny with Jingles.
Jingles was so fun.
I was also the only funny actor.
Like, I mean,
because Clara, bless her heart, was not meant to play Santa Claus.
Yeah. I think she did a good job. I think she was the only one other than John Luca who could have pulled that.
Yeah.
It also helped that Jingles was written for you.
Yes.
So.
And I am a better actor than Brad Pitt.
Everyone else took it way too seriously for what it was. That's the other thing. Like, no one looked at it and was like, oh, this is a satire. No, they looked at it and was like, no, this is a drama about winter.
Jingle's lines were, like, inherently absurd, but they weren't absurd enough to be funny if I didn't lean into how dramatic they were. Yeah.
So, like, if you could have played it as, like, oh, this is a very serious script, but you're not supposed to.
Yeah, and I was talking like Alvin from the Chipmunks the whole time.
Which was the point.
Yeah, and, like, that, at the end of the day, like, that sort of became the thing of, like, honestly, if, like, you make something, if the moment you take any script and make it farcical in nature, if you just over-exaggerate every line and every movement to show, like, basically make it so no one can ever doubt your emotion to a comedic degree. And at that point, anything becomes funny. Yeah. I bet you I could make the most heartbreaking movie I've ever watched funny if I tried that.
Yeah, I'm sure you could.
Have you seen No Country for Old Men?
I feel like we've had this conversation before.
It's so hard.
And you told me to watch it.
And it's so sad.
But you feel like you could...
Yeah, I think I could make it funny if I tried hard enough.
I feel like you could make anything funny if you tried hard enough.
I don't think I can make anything funny. Because there's the no-no list for stand-up comedians.
That's true.
Yeah, I don't want to touch anything on there.
Well, obviously.
Yeah.
But, like, I feel like you could be a good stand-up comedian.
Maybe, yeah. But then I would no, then I'm really in trouble. Because then I'm a stand-up comedian with a podcast.
That would be really funny. But like
Welcome to the Edward Bennett experience.
But the podcast is just like... But if you become a stand-up comedian after we're done the podcast...
Yeah.
After the gun shooting episode.
Yeah, after the episode we do in a firing range.
Then you never have to touch this podcast again. Then you're no longer then you're a stand-up comedian
who had a podcast in the past.
Yeah.
I just don't want to be Joe Rogan.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Does anyone want to be Joe Rogan?
I think Joe Rogan does.
Well, that's good for him.
And however many billions of people listen to the Joe Rogan experience.
Oh my God.
I mean, he's not really a stand-up comedian anymore, though. That man had such a weird career. Because he went stand-up comedian. He, like, casted for the MMA for a while. MMA for a while. Like, for the UFC.
Really?
Yeah. And then he went and did a podcast.
That's such an... That's a path.
There's actually, continuing on the topic of films, there's a film that it's terrible and I love it. It's called Here Comes the Boom.
Right.
It stars Kevin James as a biology teacher who becomes an MMA fighter to save his school's band program. It used to be my favorite movie, and then I watched it 7 times in a row, and now I hate it. And Joe Rogan's in it, as Joe Rogan, the MMA sportscaster.
Oh.
Yeah.
Was he ever, like, an actor? Like, just an actor? Or was
No, he was a stand-up comedian and a sportscaster, and then he did a podcast.
Weird.
Or he might have been a sportscaster, then a stand-up comedian.
And he's always had a podcast, probably.
I think he ended with podcast, actually.
Oh. Well, see, you're starting with podcasts, so how can you really be Joe Rogan?
I'll be reverse Joe Rogan.
Okay. That's what you can call your podcast.
The reverse Joe Rogan.
Oh my God. And then you can...
Just wait, in 15 years, I'll be sportscasting for the MMA.
See?
The UFC,
And now we have proof that was always your plan.
This is a promise I make to you, dear listener, that if you turn on UFC in 15 years, and it's not me sportscasting, you can be like, well, gosh darn it, he got me, and then go about your day.
Perfect.
Someone's going to follow through on that.
I really hope someone does.
I really hope someone, because the other thing about UFC, it's all pay-per-view.
Really?
Yeah, most of it, you have to spend money to watch it. So somebody's going to spend like $20 to watch a fight just to see if I'm sportscasting and then I'm not going to be there.
Or one day this will be like on the internet somewhere. Someone will dig it out of the trash when you are a sportscaster and they'll be like, oh, this was his plan all along.
Or alternatively, this bit is going to cost someone $20.
Yeah.
Which would also be so funny.
Either way, it's hilarious.
Like if the Instagram account becomes like ancient by then and you get a DM, this bit cost me $20.
Oh.
I think my life's work will be complete.
Because we can only like fact check it in the next 15 years.
Yeah.
So, whoever wants to take that upon
15
themselves.
years, UFC, prize fight, whenever that is, I'll be there.
Perfect. Anyway, I think this would be better if they were actually scripted sometimes.
I don't know, that was a really good bit, though.
It was a really good bit, but like we get off topic so easily, because we were talking about script writing.
Oh, yeah, we were. Anyway, do we want to talk more about and cut on the topic of script writing?
Yeah, talk about and cut.
Okay, so and cut, for those of you who haven't seen it.
Which is most people.
Yeah, most people. And cut was basically a deeply flawed, dark comedy about a live taping of a sitcom where the director starts killing people. And it was deeply flawed because it was written in high school. Most scripts are deeply flawed when they're written in high school.
Yeah.
But that one was a weird phenomenon, and I'm just gonna tell this whole, because I wrote it, and I didn't like it very much. But then it got a weird cult following.
Really?
Yeah, there were some people who are really into that show. Like one of our classmates took it and rewrote it and is gonna put it up as a show for the school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was really confused about that when I first heard it. I was like, oh, are you taking the version that Edward wrote? And then, no, because she was rewriting it.
Yeah, no, it feels like everybody saw it as, a flawed masterpiece, when I saw it as, a flawed, just okay piece. Because I had 2 different people ask me to rewrite it and use it.
That's crazy.
I should have had them pay royalties.
You should have, because you could have made money
It's
off
fine.
of that.
Now I've got a script writing
Ford
credit on
could have
both.
paid for you.
I didn't have it copywritten, though.
Oh,
and I'd rather not make money off it, weirdly.
That's true. That's fair.
I'm just gonna get the person who rewrote it to, comp me tickets to that show.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like even for the one acts, you don't have to...
Yeah, wouldn't it be really funny if I was just I'm a writer.
I'm a writer. I wrote the show.
Catch me at Starbucks on a Tuesday with my laptop. I'll be writing.
It's my dad. He was literally at Starbucks earlier writing. No, you're laughing, but it's so true. Apparently a lot of old people were talking to him about his keyboard.
Is your dad a cliche?
A little bit. He went to like school for science and education because that's what his parents wanted him to do. But apparently he also did English classes or something. Anyway, he quit his job at the city to pursue his writing and art. Like, you look at that shelf, that's all his art supplies over there.
I mean, like, good for him, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, follow your dreams.
Yeah, and he has a book. He wrote a book.
No.
I've never read it.
Fiction or nonfiction?
I think it's fiction. I think it's something... Yeah, I'm not allowed to read it.
Published?
Not yet. He's, like, putting it away, and then he's, like, editing it slowly.
I mean, if he ever wants a promo tour, when we're famous...
When we're famous, we can talk about it on our podcast.
Exactly.
Because we can go, this podcast is sponsored by...
Book.
If you want to sponsor us, hit us up. I don't know. Then we have to use a script and talk about a sponsor.
Or we can just script our sponsor segment and then just like the rest of the... Or we don't script the spot and we do the same thing with jot notes for the sponsor segment.
And it's just like say we're sponsored by, like, I don't know, paper towel company.
And then we wind up doing a 10-minute diet, like a 10-minute thing about paper towels before ever getting back to it, and they never pay us because of it.
And they're just like, oh, we didn't actually like how you talked about our paper towels. And we're like, well, you get what you get, and now you owe us $10,000.
And then they don't pay us.
And then
there's a whole lawsuit. And then we do episodes of the podcast in the courthouse while we're getting sued.
Well, like, I'm sure it would be, like, open to the public, so I'm sure we could record it.
Your Honor, do you have a take on this?
Oh, that would actually be the closest to it being scripted, actually.
Yeah.
Like, if it was in a courthouse, because then we would have to have stuff that we have to say.
Yeah, and then alternatively, you've also got somebody posthumously scripting it. Like, you've got somebody scripting it after the fact, too, because you've got the stenographer.
Right. So, honestly, maybe we should do something to get us sued so that we can end up in court.
Going further into this off-topic segment,
right.
Have you ever seen, like, stenography keyboards?
No, I haven't.
They're so crazy. They've only got like 20 keys, and you have to type words by pressing all the buttons at the same time, all the letters at the same time.
Oh my god, that would take like
you'd have to take courses on how to learn it.
Yeah.
But then you can type so much faster than regular people.
That's true. But like also like
I'm gonna find a picture of a stenography keyboard.
Does that actually work? Like
they do it in courthouses.
But does it work on like normal keyboards?
You can buy ones that attach, like they hook in through a USB cable.
But it doesn't work on, like, your run-of-the-mill...
No, it's a special keyboard.
Apple keyboard.
Here,
Apple.
Oh, yeah, they're really going to want this. So, it's... Come on, you monster. This is kind of what it looks like, though.
Okay. So, for those who can't see, which is literally everyone, it's just a giant...
That's what it looks like.
Why is there, like, the hashtag?
So if I remember correctly, the hashtag and the asterisk keys do something to shift it around.
Okay.
So they unlock, like, because you can see there's not 26 keys even.
No, there's no, like, C on there.
Yeah, so, like, if you need an extra letter, I think the hashtag and the asterisk do that.
For those of you wondering what it looks like, look it up on the internet.
Yeah, look up a stenography keyboard.
Because we're not showing pictures
and then
here.
Become a stenographer, and then get on the podcast and talk to us about stenography.
Yeah, if you know how to do it, like, hit us up.
And then, but script an episode about stenography on a stenography keyboard.
And then you're allowed to. Yeah. But
that'll be the scripted episode of the podcast.
Mm-hmm. But also, like, you need to either make it so satirically funny where to the point of we don't sound like normal people talking, or you need to actually make it sound like it's not scripted.
Yeah, you really gotta capture our tangents.
Essence.
Yeah.
So listen to a couple episodes.
Yeah, script these 5 to 10 minute tangents.
I wonder if we could get to the point where, like, if we just put a bunch of these in AI could write our podcast
and would script tangents.
Yeah,
that'd be really interesting. And then we could do an episode on the AI scripted.
Yeah. See, like, I feel like...
We gotta get that done soon, though, because AIs are getting dumber.
Oh, that's true, because...
And we don't know why. Fun fact about AI. We don't know how it works or why it works. We know what we did to make it work.
That's terrifying.
And we also don't know why it's getting dumber, but it's getting dumber. Actually, we do know why it's getting dumber. It's because it gets fed in information from the internet, but it has no way to process misinformation.
Oh, so unlike the typical human brain.
Yeah, so the more garbage that's spewed on the internet, the more stupid you're making every AI model.
Which, in a way, is a good thing.
Yeah, in a way it's a good thing, but in a way it's a bad thing, because if people are going to use them as genuine tools, then suddenly it's like, okay, this is a sniper scope, but every week it gets 0.1 inches less accurate.
'Cause, like...
And then eventually you're just hitting civilians.
Yeah. We're back on the subject of guns, but...
This is actually going to be a gun podcast.
Oh, neither of us have ever shot a gun. I actually played paintball once, which is the closest that I ever
played
got
paintball
to
once and I was really
guns.
good.
I was, like, kind of okay.
Like, I won a 1v1 without ammo in my gun.
I think I still have bruises from when I played paintball with
How
Clara.
long ago? That was like
It was in June.
That's bad.
I got hit and it was blood underneath my skin.
That's what a bruise is.
No, but it looked like if it was bleeding over top of my skin.
Internal bleeding?
Yeah. This is where we found it.
It's fine. The doctor said my bleeding was internal. That's
never
where the
went
blood's
to a doctor.
supposed to be.
I never went to a doctor about it.
Has it healed?
Not yet.
Has it slightly gone away?
Yeah.
Has it been reducing?
Not for the past couple months. It's been at the same stage for a good 2 months.
I think you have what's called soft tissue trauma.
Edward, I've been to a doctor. He said I was fine.
Okay.
He looked at my feet for some reason.
Dude, is that all he looked at?
Actually, kind of.
That's called a podiatrist.
No, he just looked at them
He
and
was
he was like, they look good.
That was your physician. That was the guy you, for your whole checkup.
Yeah.
And he just looked at your feet the whole time?
He looked at my feet and then he, took my heartbeat and then looked at my back and my neck.
Okay.
But that's about it.
Didn't look in your ears? Didn't look in your eyes?
Oh, he did. Yeah, never
Okay.
mind. I just can't remember.
Did they take your blood pressure?
I actually don't know.
Recount to me this doctor's appointment,
Okay, so
and then we'll get back to writing.
I got there. I was really nervous because it was the first time I'd been to a doctor in 8 years.
Yeah.
And the guy was just like, okay, we're gonna do this checkup, and I was like, cool. And I had to put on this paper gown.
Yeah.
It was weird. I don't know why I needed to, because I was wearing a tank top and shorts. But I was like, cool, I'll put on a paper gown. And so I did. And then he was just like, okay, I'm gonna look at your ears. And he looked at my ears and my eyes. And then I had to sit on a stool and he felt my neck.
Yeah.
And then he kind of felt my back.
Yeah.
I'm assuming he was looking for cancer.
Yeah, probably. Or breathing issues, maybe?
That one too. Because he did listen to my breathing too.
Yeah.
Never mind. He did look at more than just my feet.
Okay, good. I was really worried for a second.
And then I had to get back on the cot thing, the
Yeah.
bed thing. And then he looked at my feet and he was like, okay, take off your socks. And I was like, this is getting way too personal. But okay, I'm kidding. It was...
I think there actually are some medical conditions you can diagnose by how the feet look, though.
I know. So I think that's why he had to
some
look at my feet.
circulation issues.
Yeah.
Because it's the same with, there's some heart problems you could diagnose by the fingers.
Yeah, because especially because they can turn purple.
Yeah, and the blood goes so close at the extremities. That actually makes sense.
Yeah, that
okay,
makes...
I'm actually with your doctor.
Okay, never mind.
I was against him before.
The feet thing is...
It's not weird.
It's not weird.
It sounded weird initially.
Anyway, moving on with this. Then he, looked at my stomach and then...
Yeah. That just sounds like a normal doctor's appointment.
Yeah, anyway, so it was pretty normal.
Yeah.
It's just, it had been 8 years. And then I had to go get blood work done.
Oh.
So that was fun.
Yeah. I think we should change this episode from about writing to just calling it unscripted.
Ooh, yeah.
I think that'd be a really good name for this because it's not about we can go back to writing at some point.
Well, I'm never gonna name them just what they're
Yeah.
called. I think last one was called because I'm already calling it this in my brain, even though we literally just recorded it. It's gonna be why are we even doing this?
Yeah, and then episode 2 will be unscripted.
Yeah.
And then we can actually start talking about what we're talking about, you know?
Yeah, but because now this just feels weird to talk about because we've been talking about just random.
I mean, we can bounce back to it for content anyway.
That's true, because we can go back to creative writing, because I do like creative writing.
I do too. I think we do it in very different ways, though. Mm-hmm. So does one of us want to go first?
Okay, I'll go first, because I feel like I feel like I was just talking, but I feel like you talked about and cut, so I'll talk about my creative writing.
Okay, beauty.
When I was, in elementary school, I found that I wrote so much, and I actually recently went through a lot of my school writing, or just stuff that I wrote while I was in elementary school, that was about, it all started the same way, where I was so-and-so woke up and went to a coffee shop, and they were all, weird romances, because I was, this weird, hopeless romantic when I was a child. I don't know, but it also brings me back to, Annika and I wrote 3 Harry Potter fan fictions with our friend Suleiman.
Okay, never mind. I don't want to replace Suleiman anymore.
No, he wasn't actually a part of it. He was just a character in it. Because it was called Friends at Hogwarts, and it was about our friend group going to Hogwarts.
So it was you and Annika really wanted to be at Hogwarts?
Yeah, it ended up me basically being a damsel in distress the entire time.
Okay.
And,
Did Harry Potter save you?
No, because we were there in between the time of the Marauders and Harry Potter, so we were like...
That's actually really... I'm glad that you took a different timeline approach to it,
we didn't go in while...
So you could create all original characters?
Yeah.
Besides, like, teachers?
Well, they weren't original characters. It was, like, a bunch of our classmates.
I thought you were going to say, this is Gary Otter.
But, like, it also got really weird.
This is Dawn Measley.
No, because I had a crush on this guy at the time, and, like, we wrote him into the script as my boyfriend when I was 11.
Oh, that is weird. That is very weird.
And, this is pretty common knowledge, so I'm not worried about putting this on the podcast, and he'll never listen to the podcast. I'm still not saying his name. I'm pretty sure he knew I had a crush on him, though, but it was just so awkward, because I would write all these things, and now I look back, and I'm like, oh...
Sorry, Darren. His name's not Darren.
It's not Darren.
Good.
But yeah, like, we wrote all these things. And then also my writing was, like, heavily influenced by Geronimo Stilton. Like, you laugh.
Did you even have the funny, like, font things in your...
Yep.
That's awesome.
I wrote...
That must have made creative writing so much harder.
In grade 2, I remember the first instance of this was, like, I started a story that I was writing for class.
Yeah.
Like, blah, 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 all this stuff happened. But sorry, I forgot to introduce myself. My name's whatever. Like, I don't know. I'm going with Darren.
My name's
Chris. Darren Chris. And then
it'd be really funny if Darren Chris listened to this
podcast. God. Darren Chris, if you're listening, hit me up. Like, honestly, I know you're married. I know.
And, like, so many years older than you?
He's only, like, 30-something.
So many years.
I'm also, at the time of this podcast, dating someone, so...
Half his age plus 7. Jesus Christ.
Oh, shush.
I'm just gonna look up Darren Chris's age while you keep talking.
What was I talking about? Right, creative writing. I really liked creative writing. I still really like it. I just find it so hard to, like, come up with good ideas that are worth something. Like, and it's not just me going, oh, here's another story about...
He's 37.
I find it so hard to just come up with stuff, and...
Half his age plus 7's 25 and a half.
Anyway, I find it so hard to just come up with stuff and keep on writing about it, because I never have a good idea or a good, like, direction that I want to go.
Yeah.
Which is also why I don't want to script these podcasts, because it's like...
Then it'll become a chore.
Yeah.
And not just whatever it is right now.
Yeah, because this is a lot easier to do than just...
Yeah, I get what you're saying, yeah.
Yeah.
Even if the audience doesn't, I do.
Yeah. So, and that's really all.
And really, isn't this podcast for us?
It really is. Like, we're gonna look back at this, like, 20 years later, and we're gonna be like, oh my god. Oh.
So it's really a sad time capsule.
Oh, yeah. That's why I like that we're doing this in, like, grade 12.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of a significant year.
Yeah. And you know what? If it carries over to, like, post-secondary, fantastic. I doubt it will.
What if I leave? What if I go to, like, Vancouver or something?
I plan to leave, too.
Oh, perfect. So
like
we'll
I
just
said,
do it over...
those McElroy brothers.
We'll do it over Discord or Skype.
Yeah, we can... Microsoft Teams. I'll hit you up on Slack.
Perfect. All right, Edward, talk about
creative writing. My creative writing. I don't do a lot of it, but what I do now... I said do. What I do now for creative writing is it's all based for TTRPGs, or tabletop role-playing games, for those of you less educated. Basically, my passion when it comes to writing is world building. That's what I do a lot of, and it's been it's a super interesting and gratifying process. I encourage people who are interested in especially fantasy and sci-fi writing to explore, like, world building tools. It's not really a funny story, it's just what I do, and I think it's really fun.
Yeah, that is really fun. Like, I feel like yours is a lot more, like, functional than mine, which is just, I'm gonna sit down and write about 4 kids who go on a magical adventure. literally all it is.
Yeah, I mean, like recently I wrote up a post-apocalyptic version of Canada for a Fallout campaign that I'm trying to run.
Fun.
Like the video game series Fallout, and that was really interesting because it's sort of it stretches your imagination in ways where you have to stay within the grip of reality, because you have to ask, first of all, what would happen to Canada in the alternate timeline of Fallout, and then what would happen after when the bombs dropped. And it's just sort of an interesting thought experiment to run through your head. The other creative writing is a funny story that I have. We were doing a standardized writing assessment for school, and I was writing in French, and the entire prompt was, I was like grade 7 or something. You get visited by a special person, and it could be like a character from fiction or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. So what I did is I chose I chose SpongeBob.
Oh, that's different.
Because I was a guy who didn't like. I thought I was real smart, and I didn't like writing in French, so I wrote all of his dialogue in English because he's an American character. And then later on, like however long it took to correct it down the line, my math teacher comes up to me and she says, "Edward, I just want you to know, you failed this, but we all had a good laugh reading it."
And isn't
and it wasn't for marks. Really, that's the goal.
Yeah. As long as you made someone laugh.
I'm
honestly.
really actually proud of that failure. And I still think, despite how unfunny I was at that age, that's something funny that I did.
Yeah, like, actually, that's really cool.
It's just not funny for the reasons I thought it was.
I love it when people are, like, praise me for being funny. Yeah. That sounds really mean. But, like, a lot of the time I have to, like, think really hard to be funny.
Anyway, if you want more episodes of this, call Claire funny in the comments below.
Yeah, guys.
Let's turn the comments below into a compliment circle for Claire.
Perfect. Oh, no. Okay, I remember that happened once at, like, in drama. There was a compliment circle for me, and I think I almost cried. Not because I was happy, because I just got scared. That's
fair. Like, everybody was just complimenting you?
Yeah.
That's wild.
Because I think someone was like, okay, guys, let's go around the circle and all say something nice about Claire.
That sounds like something I would do. Did I do that?
No, you didn't.
Okay.
It was my ex-boyfriend.
Oh. I know who we're talking about.
Yeah, but yeah, that was horrifying.
Anyway, writing.
School writing. In like grade 10 English, I was only told to write in essay format. So all of our PRTs were like, my teacher was like, no, you have to write an essay. And I'm like, oh my God, I hate writing essays. And then I went to summer school, and I was like, I don't have to write in an essay format. And I did so much better on all my personal writing stuff.
For context, a PRT is a personal response to text.
There we go. I feel like most people know that.
Well, what if we have, like, American listeners? They don't know what school terminology is in Canada.
Sorry, Americans.
Sorry
for being American.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't like writing personal texts because I don't like talking about myself, but I do like how very freeform it is.
Well, you don't have to talk about yourself. That's the other thing.
But you have to draw on your personal experiences.
That's true.
And I like thinking through texts, especially very logically, which those don't give me an opportunity to do as much.
Okay, that's fair.
Like my opus for high school writing was my grade 10 critical writing assignment on Animal Farm. I got like a 96. It was so long. It was awesome.
Your poor English teacher.
She loved me.
Okay.
My English teachers adore me because English classes at the dear old high school are like 65% actually more, 75% people who either don't talk or are just stupid. And of the 25% who are smart and talk, I'm usually either the smarterest or the talkerist.
Right.
So yeah, English teachers really like me. But like, yeah, so I find especially because personal writing for me is so influenced by how I'm doing that day, which then it hits my grade because I was unhappy on a given day.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, that's sort of been my beef with personal writing. Also, my first personal writing assignment within high school ever was by a student teacher who graded super harshly.
Oh.
Yeah, and didn't explain personal writing well.
I feel like you can't have, like, student teachers teach important things. Like, I feel like...
But they have to.
I know, but you can't just, like, throw them into the deep end even if they do it, the teachers have to be there to kind of police them.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, like, properly explain something... Like, I had a math teacher in, like, I don't know, it was, like, grade 9, I think. And... she like fully left, and then we still had a student teacher, so instead of like, and we had a sub and a student teacher, but the student teacher taught math so badly and my grades like plummeted because I wasn't learning properly. And then my math teacher came back and I was like, oh my god, perfect. And my grades went up again. And now I, like, barely know how to multiply fractions because that was the year when we learned how to multiply fractions properly.
That was so simple, though.
I know, but I just can't.
It's just top times top and bottom times
Okay,
bottom.
multiply and divide fractions, okay? More like that. Or, like, when you multiply something with a fraction.
Ah, yeah.
Or, like, it's...
I could teach you to multiply and divide fractions
Edward, I need to
now
figure
if
it
you
out
want.
on myself.
Okay.
We should have a podcast about math where we just do math homework. Which math are you doing this year?
30.
Like normal 30?
-1, so I don't know what you
When's
mean.
your math?
When's yours?
Last block.
The block before you.
Oh, okay.
I was in your math class, and then I dropped Chem 30, which was in block 3, and then my
You would have been in my chem class.
Yeah, but then my student counselor, I told her I wanted to drop it, and she then emails me, okay, I dropped it, and I moved your math up, so you get a block 4 spare. And you know what? Now I have block 4 spares the whole year. I get to go home at 1:30 for my entire high school last
except
year.
on, like, improv days.
Yeah.
And I guess you're not doing, like...
Theater for the first
theater,
semester, I'm not. Yeah.
Oh, well, lucky you, then.
This podcast, the episode is, like, this first 2 episodes are also just us catching up, because we have not spoken mostly since the year started.
Haven't.
Yeah.
No, I've like, chem with Zach.
I didn't like Chem 20, but it's also because I didn't do homework, study, or pay attention. So
That's fair.
I got like a 76.
Yeah. That's really good for not doing homework, studying, or paying attention.
I did really well on the first unit, and then I got my shit together the last part of the year.
Chemistry is so fun. I'm just so confused all the time. I love stoichiometry, though, so...
Yeah, I do too. I don't get the stoichate, I won't even lie.
I got 100% on the stoic unit test.
In 20 or 30?
20. I've been in 30 for, like, less than...
And there's already been 4 unit tests.
Yeah, actually, oh my god, I hate that the first, like, math unit test is on the 12th.
Oh, mine's on the 13th. Yes, she forgot to give us a quiz for that first unit. So she's just going to do it now. So she just pushed everything back a day, basically.
She already had the quiz on when we were there. Maybe I don't know.
I'm pretty sure she moved it to the 13th, and then the quiz is on the 11th, so we have the 12th to do the other thing.
Okay. We have, like, revision on the 12th.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Quiz 11th, revision 12th, unit test 13th.
Perfect. Love that. Yay. What were we talking about? We were talking, like, PRTs or something.
Yeah. Personal writing.
How did we get on this topic? See, this is the whole point of this episode, is just so
That's why it's going to be called unscripted.
But you said that you like critical.
Yeah, I enjoy critical writing a lot.
I hate critical.
Really?
It's so difficult for me. But I got it explained to me by my father, and he was just like, well, if you take it and you, like, imagine that you're looking at a car and you're trying to explain a car to someone.
Yeah. Explain
what it looks like from each side of the car. And that's, like, you're still describing a car, but you're just looking at it from the different angles. Because I go in there and I basically, my other issue is I retell the story. Yeah. Because I don't know how to present evidence.
That's fair, yeah.
Or proof. And
so, I think, honestly, my biggest thing for critical writing is if you don't have a strong thesis, it's not going to be good. Right. Like, you need to figure out like, that should be most of your planning is your thesis statement, because then the evidence will come. Okay. Is sort of my stance on the whole thing. But if the thesis isn't there, you can't find the evidence for it.
See, that was another issue. Like, when I was doing English 20 in summer school, my English teacher gave us the first 2 paragraphs, which was kind of annoying because it meant that I didn't choose what my thesis was. Yeah. Or how I was gonna or what I was gonna talk about in this whole thing. Yeah, I get that. So it's like, it was difficult, but it also, it gave you kind of a backbone to stand on. Yeah. But, yeah, I don't know. I don't really like critical.
I enjoy critical writing because it's sort of like, you get to, because with personal response, you have to formulate an opinion through the view of your experiences, whereas critical response, you can form an opinion that, provided it kind of relates to what your thesis is supposed to be, you can form the wildest opinion, and provided you can back it up and remove yourself from it. Right. So I basically get to write, I get to write, almost entirely objectively, based on what I want to write about. Okay. It's like, I did an entire essay, I got an 80 on it, about the themes of food in a text. Oh. Food was mentioned 4 times.
So, but that's enough to write.
Yeah, that's enough.
Essay.
Because it was mentioned 4 times at 4 different points in the story.
Perfect.
In a way that, I could actually, or like my opus, as I described it, my Animal Farm essay, I went completely off the rails and talked about how the quest for power is a vicious cycle, not only displayed in Animal Farm, but in other communist and dictatorial regimes. It was fantastic, and I got a 96.
Oh my god. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But, like, yeah, I mean, as long as you have the proof to point it up.
Because that's the thing, like personal writing is more free form.
Right.
But I think you have so much more freedom with critical writing.
Mm-hmm.
Is sort of my stance on the whole thing. At least it's more freeing for me.
That's fair. Because I guess with personal, you're kind of bound into this one thing where...
You're bound to what you've experienced.
Right. But critical, as long as you can... Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Then, like, I feel like writing in French...
is so much weirder.
It's so weird, but I do so much better in it. Because another thing that I, like, mess up in like, English writing is I ramble.
Yeah.
And that leads me to, like, over-explain and, like, do all this stuff that teachers don't want to see. But then in French, I can't do that. Because I can't...
aren't good enough at the language.
I'm not good enough at French.
See, the one thing with French for me is how they taught us the intros with, like, the 3 different subjects.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Whatever. All that. I don't grasp that. I don't know if I ever will.
Okay.
I'm very scared for that final writing assignment at the year's end.
Oh, yeah, that's like half the reason I was like, oh, I'm gonna do the French 30 challenge, because then if I like ultimately bomb,
if I biff it,
then I'm gonna need that. But I only got like, I think I got like 80 something on the French 30.
I got an 85 on the French 30 challenge.
Yeah, I don't know what I got.
But I submitted work that would have gotten me a 45 in French 20.
That's just the thing, because it's so much easier.
Yeah.
I think I like fully messed up.
I wrote 3 blog posts in French about Belgium using the English Wikipedia page for Belgium.
I did that too. Not Belgium, but like, it's like there's nowhere that talks about anything in French.
Yeah.
I feel like unless you're going to like the official website.
Yeah.
But that feels...
I also just told myself, hey, I hate this. Wouldn't it be really funny if I used an English Wikipedia page for my French assignments?
Which honestly, it's technically a second language course. It's not like immersion course. Yeah. So are they really expecting
Which also makes me realize how little French people who take French as a second language are learning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like, I've talked to people who take French as a second language. Yeah. And I'm like, so you can understand, and then I'll start talking to them in French, and they're just like, Bonjour, je m'appelle... You know, I can't think of anyone who I know who... I don't know.
But yeah, like, it is so interesting how rudimentary they go, because from everything I've heard, basically, you do the same thing from about grade 6 onwards, or like grade 9 onwards. And it all sort of... I think they push it to... They technically push the learning level 3 years back from where we are.
Yeah, because, well, they all start in grade 4.
I thought they started in grade 3.
Oh, my school started in grade 4.
Okay, but yeah, it's 3 years lower than us. So they're learning, like, 9th grade French.
Oh.
And then, even then, they don't learn it as well as us. They don't learn it because
they don't learn the random...
And they don't do the rest of their courses speaking the language. Mm-hmm. Which is, I think, where immersion sort of supersedes it, is the fact that you speak French for every class except English and gym. That's
something that, like, a lot of people I talk to who don't do French immersion are like, you do, like, math and French? And I'm like, yeah. It's
not that much more difficult. Mm-hmm, except for reciprocals and inverses. Because they're which are backwards. Because for our listeners who are are Anglophones. So in math, you have reciprocals and inverses. And in French, reciprocals are les invers, and inverses are les réciproques.
Yeah. French makes no sense.
But I do like French's terminology for it better than English's.
That's true. Because
for fractions, les invers, you flip it. Yeah. And then for réciproque, it's like the reciprocal thing.
So, to be fair, it does make sense. Yeah. But
so French actually wins. Vive la France. We should do an episode in French.
Oh, then only the French people. Then I have to think so much more. Then I have to script it. Oh my gosh.
You're right, we should do a French soap opera. Oh. A French radio drama.
You know what, you can do that, and we'll, like, invite, like, Annika. But
Annika speaks with such she's got such a thick Quebecois accent.
I know, it's kind of crazy. I'm so confused as to where she picked it up.
I think, I talked to her once, she said she just created, it's like if, like, a kid just, like, in English randomly started speaking with an Australian accent. She just decided.
She just decided one day?
Yeah. She just walked into French class like, crikey.
Like Hugh Jackman.
Yeah, exactly. And his made-up Australian accent.
And we all know that the real unscripted thing
Was the Hugh Jackman we made along the way.
And that's where we're going to end the episode. Because we're at 48 minutes. How are we at 48 minutes? Oh my god. Anyway, I feel like we should just let it play out, just in case we want to use this as, like...
Just really let them sit for, like, another... Let's just start a 1-minute timer and just let them sit in dead silence.
Like, I was like, oh yeah, like, we'll do a little exit, and it's like, oh, then the real Hugh Jackman was the
Do you want to tell them where they can, like, find us?
Oh, right. So our Instagram is just another 2 guys. 2 is just the number. We're a podcast.
I'm not sure if you knew that by now.
If you didn't know that by now, then whoa, you're in for a
Actually,
surprise.
I wouldn't be surprised if they couldn't tell.
Oh, yeah, you know. There's not much going on.
Yeah.
But that's it. I feel like I should take a picture and then be like, hey guys, we're in production for the podcast.
Well, I mean, yeah, like... I was doing something. Give me another shot. Give me another chance.
Okay.
Man, what a long outro.
Yeah.
All right, guys, thanks for listening. The real Hugh Jackman was the friends we made along the way.